My name is Lisa Minton, and I will be presenting the cases to the board for their review in today's public hearing. We are convened here at the Sonny West Conference Center in the Howard Office Building located at 700 2nd Avenue South. For these public hearings, the board reviews the correspondence submitted in support of and opposition to these cases. The board also reviews correspondence and recommendations from other government agencies in preparation for the hearings. In today's hearings, staff will present the site plans, maps, photographs, and other documents that comprise the case record. At the conclusion of the staff presentation, the appellant will present his or her case to the board. After the appellant's presentation, if anyone is here wishing to speak in support of the appeal, they may do so. If any opposition is present, the board will then hear from those parties. After the opposition presents its testimony, the appellant will have a period for rebuttal. According to the BZA rules, the appellant has 5 minutes for presentation if no opposition is present. In contested cases, the BZA rules allow 10 minutes for each side to present testimony. Should the appellant wish to provide rebuttal testimony, the appellant should reserve some portion of their allotted 10 minutes. At the conclusion of each hearing, the board will deliberate and then vote on that case. The board is vested by the power to act on these cases under the provisions of Metro Zoning Code Section 1740-180. All section numbers that we refer to come from the Metro Zoning Code, which applies to the entire jurisdiction of the metropolitan government. The zoning code was adopted by the Metro Council and became effective on January 1st, 1998. I will introduce the entire zoning code and make it part of today's record. The Metro Code requires a record of these proceedings. Because BZA meetings are recorded for Metro Nashville Network, it is imperative that anyone addressing the board come forward to the podium and speak into the microphone. All speakers should identify themselves by name and address and then make their desired presentation. The Metro Code requires 4 members of our 7-member board to establish quorum. The code also requires at least 4 affirmative votes to grant an appeal. In the event that 5 or more members are present, but the appeal fails to receive 4 affirmative votes, the case will remain on the board's agenda for the next 30 days. Applications that fail to receive 4 affirmative votes within 30 days of the public hearing shall be deemed denied by operation of law. Pursuant to board rules, an aggrieved party may appeal board decisions to Chancery or Circuit Court within 60 days of the entry of the BZA order. Additionally, as per the BZA rules, an aggrieved party may file a motion for rehearing by the BZA within 60 days of the original hearing date. After that time elapses, the board's decision becomes final and no further action can be taken. If your appeal is granted, you are required to obtain the permit for which you applied. A permit must be obtained within 2 years for the board approval to remain valid. It should also be noted that if false or misleading testimony is presented to the board, any board approval could be revoked at a later date by means of a show cause hearing before the BZA. Mr. Chairman, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all appellants have been notified by certified mail, and all legal notice requirements have been fulfilled.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on to the cases to be heard, I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize any elected officials who are in attendance today and invite them at this time to come forward and speak to the board if they desire to do so.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair and Board. Tom Druffel, Council District 23, Westmead Hillwood area. I'm speaking on behalf of 405 Brook Hollow request for a setback, reduced setback. It's all about a tree. We have a chance to save a tree, 70-year-old oak that is part of probably the largest extended canopy within Westmead, all oaks. In Westmead, we've lost a lot of trees, large trees with all the development, and we are trying to do something. The developers worked with us on this, and so we appreciate your support. I checked with the arborist, Stephen Cavett, with Codes, and he is in support of saying that this would work. So everything is aligned with that, and appreciate your support. Any questions for me? Or?
No, thank you. And I do believe that case is on the consent agenda too. So unless there's any objection from the audience or the board, then that at least I agreed with you along with Codes to put it on consent. And so we appreciate you coming here.
Don't take any more of your time. Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a preliminary announcement regarding two cases that have been deferred. Case 2021-069, located at 2061 Shaw Road, has been deferred to the July 15th meeting. They are seeking a special exception within the AR2A district to open a campground. The other case, 2021-086, located at 3941 Nolensville Pike, has been administratively deferred to the July 15th meeting.
Okay, thank you.
The BZA utilizes a consent agenda for its meetings. One board member reviews the record for each case prior to the hearing and identifies those cases which meet the criteria for the requested action by the appellant. If the reviewing board member determines that testimony in this case would not alter the material facts in any substantial way, the case is recommended to the board for approval. If anyone present opposes any one of these cases, it will be removed from the consent agenda and placed back on today's docket. The following items are proposed for the consent agenda on today's docket. Case 2021-095, located at 500 Manise Lane, seeking a variance from a side setback to construct an addition to a garage. Is anyone here in opposition to this case? Seeing none. Case 2021-097, located at 1219 11th Avenue North, is seeking a variance from side setbacks and garage orientation within the R6A district. And it is the same request as was granted on an expired order 2019-230. Is anyone here in opposition to case 2021-097? I see none. The next case on the consent agenda, case 2021-098, located at 862B West Sharp Avenue. They're seeking a variance from the front setback requirements within the RM district to construct a multifamily development. This is the same request that was previously granted on expired order in order 2018-680, in which a 20-foot front setback was granted with the condition that an opaque fence be built along the entire property line to the existing adjacent neighbor. Is there anyone here in opposition to case 2021-098?
And that condition remains, right?
Correct.
Okay.
The next case is case 2021-104, located at 405 Brook Hollow Road, and they are seeking a street setback variance to construct a single-family residence. Is there anyone here in opposition to case 2021-104? Seeing none.
All right, there's a motion for the consent agenda. Is there a second? There's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye, raise your hand. Anyone opposed? That motion passes.
The first case to be considered on today's docket is case 2021-085, located at 328 Antioch Pike. This case was previously deferred from the June 17th meeting to revise their sign request. They're seeking a variance from the 15-foot front setback within the OR 20 district to construct a monument sign for an existing medical office. They're asking for a 6-foot setback. I'll present the slides, and then the appellant may state their name, address, and case. Before I proceed with the presentation, any of the cases that were on the consent agenda that were granted, you're free to leave at this point. So case 2021-085, seeking the front setback. This is the newly revised sign. They're now requesting a monument sign, double-sided and illuminated. Same setback request of 6 foot. Here's the existing conditions. And here was the previously requested sign. The appellant would now like to present your case to the board.
Yes, Michael Durham, 1169 Greenwood Avenue.
It's down at the bottom.
Yes, sir, if you just press a button. There you go.
There we go. Okay. Michael Durham, 1169 Greenland Avenue. At the last hearing, the board offered 2 options for changing our design of the sign, and we chose one of those, which was to keep it at a maximum of 5 feet tall. And that's what we're proposing.
One of the questions that your council member, I guess, said there's still a lot of concern about the illumination of the sign, and as a result, said, I guess she said that the sign is much better, but still can't support it because of the illumination. And how necessary is it to illuminate? And then what, I know you have a picture of here at nighttime, but what, how do you make certain that it's not too bright for your neighbors?
Well, the white background does not light up, as you can see in the nighttime view. It is really only going to be the graphics, which is required by codes.
It's just only the what that's required?
The codes doesn't allow the background of a sign to be illuminated. It can only be the graphics, the copy. So it's very minimally illuminated. That white background will not light up.
And what are the hours of operation?
I don't know their hours of operation. They're not open at night. They do want it lit from dusk to dawn. However, they
Why
are
does it
open.
need to be lit if they're not open?
Well, they're for visibility and for people in the neighborhood to know that there's a dentist's office there. But they are open to altering the hours that it's illuminated.
How would you know it's a dentist office? I mean,
Well,
if I
they're
saw
a
something that said-
pediatric dentist office.
Right. If I saw Woodbine Pediatric, I wouldn't know it's a dental office. I'd think it's a baby doctor. I mean,
Well,
not to, I mean, I get the point, but, I mean,
That is their name.
if it's a Woodbine kid dentist, I'd think, okay, well, they know that it's there. Yeah, I guess, and again, I'm just questioning from the council lady perspective. And again, if it's not open at night, I understand why they want it, but that's why I'm asking the question. That's why we need it. But you've answered the question. I appreciate it. Are there other questions from the board?
Has the variance request changed? I mean, are we debating an illuminated sign? No, they're allowed to do that?
No. Illumination is permitted in that zone district. So all that's before you is the setback itself that, just kind of at least a flip between what was proposed versus now in that. And that email you got from the council member, after we received this revised graphic, we sent it to her, like, does your opinion change based off one type of sign versus another? And I wanted to make sure you guys had that response in front of you.
Well, and I mean, it's certainly permitted, but we are also well within our rights to allow conditions one way or the other. And I'm not making it, I don't know where I am on it. I just want to explore it. But,
Does it have to be open from from dusk to dawn? The lighting, I've got a problem with that. So, I'm going to listen and maybe someone can convince me.
But, again, by right, they could, well, we're getting
I
a
know.
little into discussion. So let's hear more of the, if you have more to add, or if there are other questions from the board. Ms. Newton, did you have?
Yeah, I had a question. Do you think your clients might be amenable to, maybe if it's all from like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.? How do you think they would feel about that?
I think to get it illuminated during some portion, that they would be open to that. They have said that they're willing to alter the hours that it's illuminated.
Thank you.
Are there other questions from the board? All right, sir, did you have anything else to add at this point?
No.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll close the public hearing. And I'm sorry, Tom, did you have a question?
In looking at the colors, you've got the blue and the sort of muted red, for lack of better terminology. I'm sure some of the folks here would call it something a little more fancy, but is it going to stay as those colors? Because if you have, there's one sign going to Knoxville that's bright yellow and it's got stuff on it, it's almost blinding. And I'm thinking now the safety with the people coming and driving on the streets near there. You know, is it their intent to keep it a glow at night type?
So in other words, the question is are the colors on the sign as presented going to be what you build? This is their logo. Will it be?
It is, and I've seen another sign in the area using that same Woodbine logo in that same color, so it's apparently something
All right.
about Woodbine that they.
Does that get you?
It helps as much as it's going to, so.
Okay. All right. So now I will close the public hearing and discussion.
I think the idea of the conditions is a good one. I was just asking for clarification
Yeah.
about what was before us today, because the illuminated sign was a new thing that happened since last time. So I did like your conditions.
Well, and, you know,
I
and
think last time it was illuminated too, was it
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
well, and, you know, I mean, I guess, you know, I mean, just to kind of take a few steps back, by right, they can have an illuminated sign. By right, they can have a sign if it were back another 10 feet up in the air, you know, pretty much like they had wanted. And so to me, it's like, what is the healthy compromise? And then also trying to be respectful, knowing that if it is going to go forward and more people see it, and which is what they want, it might also be disruptive. And is there a compromise that, and it may not even be necessary, we may not feel it's necessary, but to me, I don't have an issue with the sign. I think it's a much improved sign. You know, when I first saw the case, I said, why is it up in the air instead of a monument sign? And I'm happy that it came back that way. And I do think, you know, dark from 10 to 6 is not unreasonable because, you know, anybody looking for if they're not looking for an emergency dentist, they probably should be in, you know, at home with their kids at 10 o'clock. Not imposing any, well, I did impose judgment, but, you know, whatever. I doubt you're going to get a lot of customers at 2 in the morning. That's all I'm saying for a pediatric dentist. So I'm open to that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was a house next to it, I might be more concerned, you know, with it being illuminated, with it being I think it's a Walgreens and a church on both sides of it. I'm a little less concerned. There are some residences kind of across and down the street, and they may be in visibility. I think there is some kind of compromise there, especially with the recent dark skies ordinance that's been passed here in Metro. So, yeah.
It just goes dark. I think
Yeah, any?
I'm a bit torn, just because by right, the sign can be illuminated. But I agree with you, especially with dark skies ordinance, that we should probably put some type of limitation.
I appreciate you saying that, Mr. Cole, because that's what I was struggling with. I've been on this board for a while, and anytime anybody has an entitlement, we don't mess with it. So I don't know why we're messing with their entitlement. Like, that wasn't the question before us. The question before us, sometimes we don't get to, you know, dictate pretty or if we like it. It's just because that's not the question. So when I see this, like, I understand the council person's perspective, but when I see this, I'm like, that's not even that bright. Okay. Like when and it's kind of in a mixed area as why that zoning is the way that it is now. So like, I mean, if you guys put conditions on it, I wouldn't object, but I am a little uncomfortable putting conditions on something that they can do, that's an entitlement.
That's fair enough. I mean, and that's fine. So, I mean,
So the other thing I'd point out too is they had, I think Ms. Minton can fill us in on this, but they actually could have had much less of a setback, gone up another 5 feet and had up to like 35 square feet. So, and I mean, I think they have worked with us, and I understand the light thing too. I don't get the impression that this is going to be a super bright light, and but I'm open to.
well then,
Whatever.
anybody have a motion?
Any other suggestions?
I just want to make sure, and I think a lot of people, that it's not going to be flashing.
Yeah, I don't think it's not an LED sign. So I don't
No,
think
it's not, but I mean, you
possible.
could, yeah, I'm just,
Yeah. I think that's a sign ordinance thing. I think that they take care of that. I don't think it's possible to do that.
Is there a way to motion to make sure that it complies with the dark sky ordinance?
If you want to do that, if you want to make a motion, have at it.
I'd like to make a motion that it complies with the dark sky ordinance. I think that'll solve some of our reservations about it.
And that the variance is approved as proposed
Yes,
with the
as
monument
proposed.
sign?
Second.
All right. So there's a motion to approve the monument sign as presented with a 6-foot variance, I believe, from the sidewalk, whatever that might be from the property line, but is presented in the drawing with the condition that it also comply with the dark sign ordinance,
Sky.
dark sky ordinance. Thank you. And that motion is seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next case.
Next case is case 2021-092, located at 150 Delvin Drive. They're seeking a variance from the fence height restrictions within the RS10 district. The appellant seeking to maintain a 4-foot tall fence with a 35% gap percentage within the 10-foot street setbacks. Here's an overview of the zoning map, an aerial view of the property and surrounding area. There's a site plan provided by the appellant showing where the fence is located and the portions that are picket and the portions that are privacy fence. And here's an aerial view showing the outline of the fence as it has been installed currently. And here's some surrounding views. The appellant would like to come forward and state your name, address, and case.
Hello, my name is Graham Johnson at 150 Delvin Drive. My wife Leah Johnson back there with the kids. I just want to clarify, I think that the second pictures of the fence are not, that is not our fence.
These are not.
That is not our fence, no.
The surrounding neighbors.
Surrounding neighbors, yeah. Actually,
Is there
that's a
front
couple
view
houses
picture of
down.
the fence?
Unfortunately, no. This is
It's a wood picket with 4 feet high.
Yours truly went out there, and I swore I saw a public hearing sign on this property, so I shot those photographs. So
There was another, I think there's another public hearing for that one.
you may be seeing this fence later.
Yeah,
It's up on Delvin Drive, so I went out here to
just a little foreshadowing.
so my apologies. I don't have-
Yeah, that's up Delvin a little bit. But the aerial ones, that's us.
This one does show the
Yeah.
location.
Well, and at the back of that, or the top of that picture, you can get a sense of where the pickets are. And it's a vertical picket fence.
Vertical 4-foot picket, yep, and with a 35% gap. So it's 3-inch gap and 5.5-inch wide wood pickets, pressure treated.
I'm just ahead of my time. You'll see those pictures again eventually.
So we can say deja vu.
And so, and I guess, just real quickly, I was thinking when we reviewed this case, it was my understanding from Lisa that if it had a 50% open space, it could actually be taller than it is now, but it has a 35% open space, so it's just slightly smaller. The openings are, I think you just said
Correct.
3 inches, they're just slightly smaller than what they're supposed to be. That's the issue at hand, is the opening's just slightly smaller than it's supposed to be.
Correct. If it was 50% or more open, it would meet the fencing
Right.
code.
And we didn't have a picture of the fence when we were looking at it, which is one of the main reasons that we're actually hearing it, because we didn't have enough data to really thoroughly examine it at that point. So
Correct.
I just want to make sure everybody knew that that's what we're talking about is that opening space. All right, sir, go ahead.
Sure. So I think the crux of our position is, well, we thought we were within codes. We didn't know that it had to be 50%. It just had to be open, and it didn't clarify what that meant. And so we're just seeking to maintain the fence for the main reason is that Ocala is a really fast street. So we've called non-emergency police on 2 occasions when cars are going, I would estimate, in excess of 80, 90 miles an hour. There's about a mile and a half length of road from, if you go that way on Ocala, there's Tusculum, and then all the way to Ulela. There's about a mile and a half, and cars kind of go drag racing. And so we have 4 little kids, and so we wanted a fence that they could play with. And the reason that we didn't adhere to the 10-foot setback is because we have a pretty narrow property, and so it would be basically in the middle of our yard. And so that is what we're here to seek.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
This is a question, I guess, for Lisa more. You mentioned a 50% openness. Is that codified anywhere, or is that? Because I know there's some confusion over that.
I believe it's in Title 16,
Okay, thank you.
which is enforced by property standards, which is, I believe, why this case is before us.
This is a case, sometimes we have zoning-related items in the property standards code that match in there. But for us, basically, if you've got a 2-inch picket, you gotta have 2 inches between the next, that and the next picket. We see those from time to time. It's a little difficult to the applicant's defense. There's no requirement to obtain a building permit for this, so there's no, they sat down and talked with us first and then did it. You know, they call, we give them the information, it gets put up, invariably this one probably the same way as the other one I shot on Davidson. Was by property standards complaint, and, you know, so a little bit, just, sorry, editorialized, from my standpoint, I have a little sympathy with applicants in this case because they're trying to do it. It's not like he just went out and did it and thumbed his nose at code.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Any other questions? Did you have anything else to add?
I was going to say, yeah, just to thank you for the support. To clarify, also, I did call codes too, and I was seeking that specific information, and they said it just has to be an open fence, and I said, okay. So that's kind of where we are today.
Okay, great, thanks. With no other questions, I'll close public hearing. And, you know, and when we were reviewing the case, I mean, we had everything but a picture of the fence, and if I'd had a picture of the fence, I probably would have recommended it for consent, but I didn't have a picture of the fence and didn't feel comfortable doing that without seeing it, which we did today, so I certainly have no issue with that. So,
I make a motion that we approve the variance as requested due to the hardship of the shape of the lot and the conditions of, it's a corner lot and like sort of the traffic conditions.
Second.
have a motion, have a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. No, any opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next case.
Next case, case 2021-093, located at 561 Castlegate Drive, is requesting a special exception within the R10 district to operate an in-home daycare for 7 children. Here's an overview of the zoning of the parcel and surrounding area. Here's an aerial view, surrounding area. Subject property and surrounding areas. The appellant may come forward and speak on behalf of this case at this point.
Hello, I'm LaShannon Buchanan. I reside at 561 Castlegate Drive, where I also run a in-home daycare of 4 kids, which include my grandson. And that's about it.
All right, did you have a community meeting?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and so do you have I guess, are you currently licensed for 4 kids? I don't know how that works.
I don't have to be licensed for 4 kids.
But you want to go up to 7 and
Exactly.
basically do what you're doing and have always done, but you just want to add 3 more kids?
Exactly.
Okay. And then I think that there, according to our rules, and you may already be following those, but under the BZA rules, there are 7 conditions, and one is that the fenced play area is required. It must be connected to the building. No signs permitted to the daycare on the premises. That you must reside at the premises. You can operate from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. No dogs are to be kept on the premises. No swimming pools or spas on the property, and the license is for you only. Is that?
That's
all
correct.
those are conditions that you're able to meet, and you know that would be part of
Yeah.
the approval. Okay. Have you talked to your council lady or neighbors? Or?
She's the only one that came to the meeting that I had for the neighborhood.
Okay.
She was the only one that showed up.
And have you gotten any positive or negative response from your neighbors?
Well, I did see in the email yesterday that one of the neighbors that live 3 houses down across the street that's been in the neighborhood for 20 years have a problem with, I guess, me running an in-home daycare. I guess their concerns is the noise and the traffic, which Castlegate already have a lot of traffic. And far as the noise, the kids that I have is 2 or 3-year-old, and I have a 6-foot privacy fence in the back, and there's no possible way they could hear my kids, even if they were loud.
Right.
So I don't see that the noise would be a concern. And far as the traffic, right now I only have like 3 cars that come in and out.
And it's 7, and you're asking for 7, not, okay. All right.
Exactly.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Have you talked to your immediate neighbors at all on both sides of you? Because like I said, the most likely to be affected by anything, so. have you talked to them?
The guy next door to me, he knows. The other neighbor, I haven't talked to them, but he doesn't have a problem with it. And like I said, I've been doing it since almost a year, and so I haven't had any complaints or anything.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you.
And I know you're pursuing license, but if you have, I guess, a helper or assistant, are they required to be licensed as well?
No, but they are required to have a background check and also a physical.
All right, and we do have a recommendation from the planning department, which always gives us a recommendation on special exceptions, and that was to approve. So we have that on for the record, too. Are there any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to confirm that if there's any opposition to this case, case 2021-093, is there any opposition to this case present?
Okay.
There is opposition,
There is opposition to the case, and so we'll hear from them, but
Okay.
You will have time to rebut, and Jessica will tell us how much, but as soon as they're done talking, then you can come back and say the
Okay.
final word, and then before we discuss.
If the opposition will come forward and state your name, address, and state your opposition.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Morgan. I live at 572 Castlegate Drive. This is Melvin Walker. He lives at 576 Castlegate Drive. And we speak in opposition to the expansion of this daycare. And as Ms. Buchanan said, she has been there almost a year. That property I see as leased property, and she has moved there and decided to open a daycare within our neighborhood. I understand we have issues within our neighborhood, which is the Castlegate subdivision. We are trying to maintain a neighborhood. We did not want commercial businesses in there. I don't know all of the ruling for a daycare. I know she has possibly, 3 to 4 children, I believe she said now. I don't want to see it get any more. We have people going and coming. They have to back out into the street. And as she said, we do have traffic on Castlegate. Speed goes up and down. So if we go from one thing, then we look up, we have something else. Next, we'll have a 15-person daycare, or we'll have a sign, or we'll have a yards or barbershop going. So we're trying to maintain that. And I said, I have been there since '91, and I have seen the changes, but I would like for it to remain a neighborhood without commercial businesses within that. You guys know that.
All right, sir, did you have?
Well, I agree with what
And,
Mr. Morgan just said.
And sir, just if you would just press the button, make the red light turn on, and just down below.
Yeah, down.
Other.
One of those buttons down there.
I don't see it.
There you go.
Oh.
And then, yeah, if you would just state your name and address, and then your comments.
My name is Melvin Walker, and I live at 576 Castlegate Drive. And I've been living in the neighborhood for at least about 35 years. And like Mr. Morgan said, we do not want commercial businesses in the neighborhood. And that seemed to be happening here lately. Not only we saying we have the daycare here, you know, we also have other issues, other businesses trying to come into the neighborhood, like hauling cars and things of that nature. And like you said, the noise level, the traffic, the people parking on the street, bagging out into the street. Castlegate isn't a very safe street anyway, because people speed down the street, and having a daycare is, I just feel that it's very unsafe to even have one there. You know, the way the cars speed up and down Castlegate, and we having problem controlling traffic at this time. And so we would like to keep it a community and a quiet community. And I am retired, you know, and I do hear the noise over there from time to time. And it is not true that there isn't noise. There is noise that I can hear from
Right.
time to time.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions?
Yeah, how close are you to, like, are you somewhere on this, this aerial view here? If that's, I think the dot's over the.
Yeah, I could actually see my house when you had it on that first
Okay.
picture.
So you're in that immediate.
I'm
kind of
across the
vicinity.
street,
Okay.
and Mr. Morgan is next door to me.
I'm directly in.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We'll hear back from the applicant and we appreciate it. Yeah, unless you all have anything else to add. Did you have anything else?
that's it.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll hear back from the applicant. I'm sorry, Ms. Davis has a question.
I meant to ask you a question. I just came in my head. Have you guys heard any disruption with the 4 that she currently has, like how she's currently running the daycare? Has there been any disruption?
What did she say?
I'm sorry. I said, have you experienced any disruption with the current setup with the 4 kids that she has in the home? Like, have you experienced any disruption or anything like that?
Yes, from the last person that lived in that house, yes.
Okay.
There are those people that are coming, and whatever activity Ms. Buchanan has there, that's going on when we didn't have that before.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. All right, ma'am, yeah, you can come back and respond to that and say whatever else you'd like to say before we discuss that.
So he just said something about the last people that lived in the house. I just know Keena, which is my landlord, she lived in that house. So I don't know what other activities she had going on. As far as me, my kids are not loud. I mean, what's the difference if, like my grandson, even if I didn't run a daycare, my grandson, he's going to play in the yard. Kids play. I hear other kids behind me playing. So I don't see why my kids is not that loud to cause commotion and all that. And far as the parking goes, you can turn around in my driveway in the back, like come through the back and turn around if pulling out in the traffic is going to be a problem. I back out, even if I wasn't running a daycare, I back out into the street to, go where I need to go. I mean, a lot of people do it that has a driveway on that street, if you look. So I don't see why me running a daycare would be a problem. I'm not commercial. I'm just trying to have 7 kids, which add 3 more to what the 4 I have. And in that 4 is my grandson, so.
Okay. Any questions?
How many hours a day would they be outside?
Oh, we only outside maybe an hour, hour and a half, and we go outside like between 3:45, 4 o'clock, and we come back in probably, I close at 5:30. So whenever the last kid leaves, then we, that's it. We do take a break between the hour and a half because it's hot outside, so we come in, get cooled off, go back outside, and that's it. My hours of operation is 7 to 5:30.
Okay.
So we're in the house most of the day.
And can you remind me of something you said earlier? You plan to have 7 kids, and you don't need a license from the state, or you do for that?
So if I want to have more, I have to have a license from the state. And more, when I say more, is just 3 more kids. That's all I'm trying to have. So it's not going to be like a big daycare like these other commercial daycares. The daycare that I run is more affordable to the families that I'm serving now anyway, because a lot of the daycares if anybody have kids, daycares are expensive. So I feel like I'm more affordable than those big name daycares,
Okay. So if
commercial daycares.
So if you had up to 10, so you can have up to 10 without being.
No, I
licensed?
can only have 7.
Only 7.
7,
Okay.
yeah,
Following you now.
yeah.
Any other questions?
The council member is present and would like to speak.
Okay, awesome. Did you have anything else to add, ma'am? All right, great. Well, then we'll hear from the council lady, and welcome. So if you just come up either to this desk or that desk and make sure the mic's on and tell us whatever you'd like to tell us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Please excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather. I am fully vaccinated. It's not COVID, it's just allergies. I did just want to come out. I've spoken with both the applicant and some of the neighbors in the community. So I'm coming out not to speak necessarily in favor or in opposition, but I wanted to make sure that the neighbors that I had heard from who were not able to make it today were able to have their voices heard. I did hear from one neighbor who was in strong opposition, who had spoken to a few other neighbors. The concerns were about noise and traffic. I spoke with one neighbor who was in strong support and felt that more affordable daycare options were needed in the community. They live in close proximity, and they stated that they had not seen any difference with the daycare being there from traffic, previously the year prior, so they did not even know that a daycare was being run at that site because they didn't see any difference. And then I heard from one neighbor in close proximity who was completely neutral, did not feel strongly either way. And then there were two neighbors that were two residents of the district that were in support but do not live within close proximity. One person is nowhere near, the other person is about a 2-minute drive away, so they would not be impacted either way. But they all did, those were the neighbors that did speak either in favor or in opposition. And again, unfortunately, they were not able to make it here today. So I just wanted to make sure that you all kind of had a gauge on what the community was thinking and what people were feeling. Overall, I have not heard a lot about this particular case, so I haven't heard a lot of people speaking up on either side. Okay. So thank you.
Awesome. Any questions for the council lady? All right. No, I mean, it's just the questions can only be from the board, sir. So any questions? We appreciate you coming out, and it sounds like that your district is just like all the others that come before us wanting a daycare, the same types of concerns and some support and some opposed and that type of thing, and just making sure it's not a slippery slope or that type of thing. And again, we read the conditions that this board at some point in this board's life has put on daycares, and it is only for the appellant. It is only for what is the request. If it grows, it's got to come. It's not grandfathered, so it's if she moves, it doesn't stay a daycare unless the new resident comes and says, I want to do a daycare, and they get the right permission. And so it's, I understand the slippery slope concern, but it also, there are enough, in this specific case, with all the daycares, there's enough, conditions and controls that says, no, it's not, it's not going to turn into a barbershop or a retail store or anything like that. It's just strictly a daycare center for this applicant. So, but it's the same type of concern we get from everybody, and I appreciate you coming and sharing that, the words that you're getting from your folks.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask the council lady, do you know of any other daycares anywhere around this location?
Home daycares or commercial daycares?
More home daycares. I'm just trying to figure out what the type of density is for affordable daycare.
This is the only home daycare that I am aware of, and I wasn't aware that it was a home daycare prior to the BZA sign going out. So potentially, could there be individuals doing home daycare? Potentially. None that I know of. This is the only one that I'm aware of. There is another commercial daycare in the district. It's a little further away at the corner of Anderson and Bell Road, so it's not in this immediate proximity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. All right. With that, the public hearing is closed and discussion. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was probably going to say the same thing. It seems like, and I wish I could maybe see your, the standards again, but if the standards are met, then it's a special exception, and we should grant the special exception. And I believe the chairman read all these earlier, and I believe all of them were met.
Is that a motion?
Sure. Okay. Sure. Well, would you like to say something?
No, that's fine. Well, the motion, you can make a motion, and then there'll be discussion if the motion's seconded.
Okay, I will move to approve the special exception request because all of the conditions have been met.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? I do tend to agree. I do think that, just out of respect for the folks that came concerned about it, I know that there are noise ordinances that have to be met, and there are avenues for remedy there. And I totally appreciate the slippery slope concern, but as we were just stated with the council lady, that is something that is very explicit in these conditions, that it only applies to this person. There's only 7 people, and if the safety concerns continue, if the applicant wants to increase the number of kids, then all the neighbors will have an opportunity to come back and say, how she's done with the 7 kids, and if they're continued to be concerned. So I think there's remedy for all of those things, and I do agree with the motion that the exception criteria has been met, but just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're empathetic to the concerns that they have.
I'll just say from my experience with daycares, and it's been a long time since I've designed one, but once the state regulations kick in, there'll be size requirements for each child or square footage requirements. So she would not be able to have, I highly doubt she'd be able to have a daycare with more than 7 children in that home as it currently exists.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion? Take a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye and raise your hand. Anyone opposed to that motion? That motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, last case.
Next case is case 2021-096, located at 4500 Murphy Road. They're seeking a special exception from the street setback requirements within the OR 20 district to add a roof structure over an existing patio at the corner of Murphy Road and 45th Avenue North for an existing restaurant. Is there anyone present in opposition to this case? No, there's not. So I'll go through the slides, and then the appellant can state your name, address, and case. It's the aerial view showing the zoning and proximity of the property. An aerial view.
All right, just
Here are a site plan and it looks like a table layout for the existing patio that is in that setback currently. Here are the renderings of the proposed elevations. The existing conditions of the property. It also shows 45th Avenue and the surrounding area. The appellant would like to go ahead at this time and introduce yourselves and state your case.
One thing to add, we did receive an email from Councilmember Murphy that supported our request.
okay.
And this is a special exception.
No, sure. Yes, it is.
That's not a variance.
That's correct.
All right.
My name is-
I'm sorry. Yes. Say
My
your
name is Sarah Milkey. My address is 2004 Piedmont Avenue, and I am part of the design team for this project.
And my name is Will Newman. I'm owner of Edley's Barbecue.
All right. If you would just, tell us what you're trying to do and what you'd like for us to approve for you.
So we're looking to basically expand the awning that's there and cover the entire patio. The all of the structure will be contained within the existing slab, but it will extend about a foot over into the garden area, which is part of the setback. So we're looking for an exception to extend the roof.
And is it just the roof it's just the roof that goes over into the garden, not the?
Yes.
And so in terms of sight lines, does it have any impact on the existing sight line for traffic trying to make a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn?
No, it shouldn't.
Because the fencing will stay the same, and it's just you're adding a pole and a roof, is that?
Correct. And all of the structure will be within the fence line that's currently there.
Okay.
And then right across, directly across is another restaurant parking lot, right? It's Sylvan Park, or not, McCabe.
McCabe.
So, okay. I mean, and you're not, I don't even think you're within, if there's residences on that street there, they're at least, what, quarter mile up or so?
There is somebody, there's a parking lot directly behind us. You can see that. And then there's a residential rental right there that's zoned. It's got a weird zoning. So there's maybe even a business in that too. Like one half it's a duplex. One half's one female resident, and this other is like a catering event company or something.
Okay, thank you.
Do you ever plan on enclosing or like screening this in, or?
So in the wintertime, we would put vinyl up to protect the wind. Currently what we've done in the past, we get a winterized tent from Music City Tents. I think there's like a 90-day temporary permit we get. So we've done that the last 3 years. So this would be much, obviously, aesthetically pleasing than the big white ugly tent.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else to add?
No.
All right. Then we'll close public hearing. Discussion?
I mean, I'll say that it doesn't appear to increase their capacity. I mean, the only opposition letter we got was about increasing the size of it, and they already have dining space out there, and they're already clearly using it with some temporary measures and, different the whole year round. So, especially with the impact of COVID on outdoor dining and everything like that, I think I'd be in support of it.
Sounds like a wind-up.
And so I'll make a motion.
That really did sound like it.
With that being said, I was kind of looking around to make sure I wasn't reading the room wrong, but with that being said, I'll make a motion. Oh.
Do we want to include any stipulations where they can enclose this patio?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we approve the special exception with the condition that it's not enclosed as interior space.
Other than they can't put the.
Other than the temporary vinyl roll downs and things like that. So, yes.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
There's a second.
All right.
I think there's a lot of seconds for that one.
All right. Well, Tom got there first, so we'll say the motion and seconded. And any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Good luck. That motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, I think is that it? All right. We are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.